So this tree is significant because back then when they brought back the slaves made up Africans from different countries. So when they brought them back to Sierra Leone, that is where they placed them. So that is why this tree is seen as a symbolic piece of freedom, because that is where they placed all of the people that they brought back as a sign that they are released from captivity. So this is it. It has been standing here for ages, you guys. You can see how big and old it is, and around it you have lots of important buildings.
This is not one of those exciting videos, unfortunately, guys, and you've seen the clip. I visited Sierra Leone sometime in 2021. Sometime in 2021 I visited Sierra Leone, and I really had an amazing time. First of all, the people of Sierra Leone are really amazing and hospitable people. You know, I had an amazing time there. Met Antoinette, and we made some videos together, and which is one of the clip you saw there. She was gracious enough to show me around the beautiful city of Freetown, her city, you know, and she took me to the epic cotton tree. And when she first told me for us to go there, I wondered why, you know, go see a cotton tree, like what's the importance. And then when she told me about it, I was like, interesting, I would like to go see. And we made this video there, we shot this clip there, and for me, I saw just a huge, magnificent symbol of, you know, freedom, of resilience, and, you know, of unity, which is what the cotton tree basically embodied, you know, and represented to the people of Sierra Leone. Looking at the cotton tree, you would remember the story about the transatlantic slave trade that happened in Africa and West Africa, majorly, and how our people were captured and taken away. But then, while some were not able to make it back to their roots, some fortunately were freed and they came back. And the story about the cotton tree is that when some of the captured Africans were freed, they were brought back to the shores of Africa, and where the cotton tree stood previously was where they first landed and, you know, prayed. And, you know, that for them was a mark of freedom, a symbol of liberty. That was what the cotton tree really stood for. And, you know, when you hear this story, it sounds as though it's just fiction. No, it is not fiction. That is reality. Some of the people who were captured and later freed, some made their way back to Nigeria. We have the late legendary Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. He was also captured from Oshogun in present-day Oyo State. He was captured alongside some other members of his family and were sold to Portuguese slave traders. But then on their way to the land unknown, they were released by the Royal Navy's squadron, because as at that point the transatlantic slave trade was abolished. So they were released and then brought back to Freetown. He was among the people who actually landed in Freetown and, you know, prayed at that cotton tree. So it's not fiction, it's actually reality. And from there, the late Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther adopted a new name, Samuel Crowther, and he identified with the Creole ethnic group there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and he enrolled in school. He schooled there, and, you know, from there, he came back to Nigeria and engaged in missionary work. He was actually the first African Anglican bishop of West Africa. He was a linguist. He worked on translating some religious texts into the Yoruba language. Later, he got married to Hassana, a former Muslim who was baptized as Susan. And Hassana, Susan, if you like, was also a liberated African from a Portuguese slave ship. So they got married together and had children. One of their grandsons, Herbert Macaulay, who was one of Nigeria's leading nationalists. And today, when you go to the CMS area of Lagos State, you see Herbert Macaulay statue standing tall there. He was on the ₦1 note at some point in our nation's history. So you see, it's important that we understand the event of things that happened and how important and significant the cotton tree is. So these things are not fiction. They are actually historical facts, things that happened in history, which our people participated in actively, albeit involuntarily, to, write down this history that we have today. And while some others made their way back to other African countries, others settled and lived in Sierra Leone, chiefly among the Creole people of Sierra Leone. What happened? It was, I think, on the 24th of May, when there was heavy downpour in Freetown, and then the cotton tree fell. The tree, according to history, is old. Some say it's about over 200 years. Some even say it's even up to 500 years old. But the fact remains is that that tree has been there for as old as Freetown has been. And it's also actually a very prominent, part of the CBD. It's there in the Freetown CBD. And tourists, people who visit Sierra Leone, usually make their way to that place to, have a look at it. Because when you look at the history of Freetown, Freetown was basically formed by the freed, enslaved Africans who were returned back to that city. So it's very significant. Freetown, as the name also implies, signifies a place of freedom, of liberty, and of unity. If you go there, even to present time, you'll find some people there whose origin they can trace back to the Yoruba speaking part of Nigeria and some other parts of Africa. So it's also like a center of unity where you find a few people of African origin, West African origin, who now have become Freetownians, who have become Sierra Leoneans, have lived there all their lives from generation to generation. So it is very, very important that we speak about this. And you see, I'm big on advocating for us Africans to tell our stories. Now, look at, if this tree had not existed, that aspect of our history would have probably been lost. What happened to the people that were captured? Did anyone ever make their way back when the people were freed? What happened to them? Where did they go to? That tree provided a reference, and a historical account of what happened to some of our people. Okay, so now that the tree has fallen, it's also important for us to tell the story, because generations to unborn are going to want to know what happened. Okay, so when they were freed, where did they stay? What happened? And then what eventually happened to the tree? This would be a reference to the fact that on the 24th of May 2023, after a heavy downpour in the morning, the tree gave way. For me, I don't think I feel completely sad about it. I feel like history continually has a way of inventing and reinventing itself. This probably marks the end of a very beautiful era and the beginning of something new, not only for the people of Freetown, but for the people of Sierra Leone in general. It came on the heel of a heavy downpour, which signifies blessings, renewal, and it's in the rainy season that the land brings forth fruit and provides food for us for consumption and all of that. So for me, I feel like this is also a blessing. As sad as it is, what is next for the people of Freetown? Yes, cotton tree stood magnificently as a symbol of freedom and unity. Now it has given way. Is that a nudge by our forebears, by God, by nature, to say, hey, it is time to write a new history? What next? What is that history that is going to be written by the people of Freetown, by the people of Sierra Leone? I'm curious to know and to see what happens there next. If the people decide to plant another tree, that's good. If they decide to erect a new monument there to mark a new beginning that, continues the story and the narrative of that place, beautiful. All we know is that cotton tree was really significant, not just to the people of Sierra Leone, but to, West Africans, knowing that some of our people who were captured, who left, still somehow were freed and came back, and we can trace a place to where they settled and how they are thriving. It shows resilience. And again, the spirit of resilience that we all as Africans embody. Okay, so I thought to quickly share this part of history with you, and share with you what happened in Freetown, Sierra Leone on the 24th of May 2023. Yeah, that's it. What do you think? Did you know about the cotton tree before now? If you didn't know, I made a video about it, and it's linked either here or in the description box down below. Do well to go check it, and you get more information from the mouth of Antoinette, and you see the beautiful city of Freetown, because that video was actually a city tour that I made of Freetown. So yeah, click and go check it. Have you subscribed? If you've not subscribed, remember to click. Wait, did I introduce myself? I didn't, right? Well, I'm Virtue Grace, the African storyteller I call myself. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. I make travel and lifestyle content. I love to travel across Africa to tell African stories of our people, our histories, our culture, and everything Africa. I love to relish Africa, right? And I also share a bit of my lifestyle with you under the lifestyle content. And then sometimes I sit on my couch here to tell you stories, right? I guess you're coming by for the first time. That introduction was for you, because my OGs, my Vert loves already know all of this about me. So if you've not subscribed, kindly click on that subscribe button. When you do, tap on the bell and select all, okay? That way you will always be the first to know when I post a new video or I do a live stream. And for those of you returning, my Vert loves, thank you so much for coming back. You guys know I love you, right? Thank you so much. Stay safe, healthy, below abiding. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.